yes, a little bit.
I mean, shame for our government.
Blasts were heard around Kiev as Russia launched its major invasion into Ukraine. It came after Putin addressed the nation, announcing a special military operation against Ukraine, saying there was no other option. While students protest in the street, some of Russia's cultural elite added their voice online. Famous Russian actors and presenters are putting up black squares on their Instagram profiles. Fear and pain, no to war, one late-night show host has written. Students on the street and celebrity criticisms are irritations the Kremlin can ignore. But it's making sure the wider public is fed a very specific message. Russian state TV is trying to dampen the tone.
Oh, well, lies have a habit of catching up with you in the end.
Because even Putin's supporters, many ordinary Russians, regard Ukraine with real affection. Many will have felt uneasy about an attack on their southern neighbor.
So would you be upset if there was an invasion?
Yes, definitely, yes.
That's why the messaging over this war has been so tightly controlled. It's not being called an invasion. The government says only Ukraine's military is in its sights, and there's a pledge not to kill civilians. The media overseer has even said outlets will be fined if they don't report what official Russian sources are saying. But many Russians aren't interested in war, especially if looming sanctions cripple the economy. An independent poll released by the Levada Center on Thursday shows that only 45% of Russians supported recognition of the separatist states in Ukraine. For students like Albina and Maria, the war means their futures are thrown into yet more uncertainty.
We don't support our government, and we don't have any direct channel how to say it.
If you want to fight for your future, you need to speak up.
Would you have a message for Ukrainians if they're watching?
We respect Ukraine. We think that Ukraine is a really nation, and we don't choose this way. We want just peace.
And James joins me live now from Moscow. James, what have you seen from these protests there in Russia? Because it seems like from what you described, there's a divide depending on the age group you're talking to.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, in Moscow, we saw hundreds out. St. Petersburg, there were thousands on the street, and more than 50 towns and cities across the country. There have been a huge number of arrests. At this point, over 1,700 arrests. That is a large number in sort of a 24-hour period in Russia, because people just can't protest here. Vladimir Putin's Russia has become a place where public protest is almost basically impossible. Some of the young people I've met have spoken about exactly that their parents, their grandparents feel one way and they feel another, and that's purely because of the media that they watch and consume. Russian state media, Russian language media, has a very clear message. It is controlled by the government. There is a watchdog here, censorship is what I think we would call it, which tells them basically what to think. And younger people who are kind of perhaps more clued in with the rest of the world, very definitely have access to the internet and social media, they are understanding something slightly different. And I got to say, it was kind of heartbreaking speaking to these young people out on the street yesterday, because they're just young and modern and cool and just kind of kids who really, really want a future like everyone else and absolutely deserve one. And they're watching what's happening now and realizing that their future is really uncertain. The sanctions that are coming in now are going to bite. They might not bite Putin that hard. They've affected some of the oligarchs, but when you're making billions and billions of dollars a year, it might not be that much of a problem for you. But regular people will feel this, and it's young people who will feel it a lot, because, you know, I had one kid yesterday talking to me saying, what am I going to do? I was going to study abroad, that my visas are going to be cancelled now. Electronics, the price of electronics has gone up by something like 30% overnight. Can't use an iPhone, for instance. iPhones probably won't be sold here. Apple Pay is probably going to stop working. Things like this, you don't think about it, but and all this is crippling for a young generation who enjoy being part of a modern economy and a modern country, and they're seeing that slip away. Dan?
So how do you think the Russian people will react as this war continues to unfold?
Yeah, it's a great question, Dan. I think the Kremlin is very, very conscious about that. At the moment, they are phrasing this war as being packaged as a defensive military operation, not an invasion. If you look at what's actually happening in Ukraine at the moment, Russian troops are not occupying territory, they're moving through it. So the expectation, the possibility is that what Vladimir Putin plans to do is force political change in Ukraine and then get out. If he can do that, he keeps his people on side. If not, people start to wonder what exactly it is that Russia is doing there, because Ukraine is not some foreign distant nation which this country has nothing to do with. A lot of people in Russia have very close ties with people in Ukraine. So it doesn't matter how controlled the media messaging is, people will get to know the truth, which is that if the truth is that in days and weeks of long occupation and a bloody war and lots of Russian troops dying, people will start to lose faith in their leader. So that is a big part of the reason why Vladimir Putin probably wants to get this done sooner rather than later.
All right, James Longman for us in Moscow. Thanks, James. And ABC News Live's continuing coverage of the Ukraine-Russia crisis will return in just a moment. Stay with us.